Celtic supporters have barely had a moment to breathe over the past few weeks. The schedule has thrown one demanding away fixture after another at the squad, a run that many fans looked at with a fair bit of concern when it first appeared on the calendar. Traveling across different stadiums, facing intense atmospheres, and trying to maintain consistency under pressure is never simple. Yet despite the difficulties, the team has managed to navigate this stretch with moments that have given supporters reasons to stay hopeful about what lies ahead. One of the most notable nights came during the European trip to Stuttgart. Even though the campaign ultimately ended there, the performance itself showed character. Winning on foreign soil in a difficult environment is never something to dismiss lightly. European matches always bring a different tempo and intensity, and Celtic managed to rise to that challenge on the night. While the exit from the competition was disappointing, the victory itself proved that the team can still produce strong displays when the situation demands it. Not long after that came the derby encounter at Ibrox, and that match carried its own emotional roller coaster. At one stage the situation looked bleak, but the response in the second half completely shifted the tone of the evening. Fighting back in such a high-pressure match always carries huge significance for supporters. By the time the final whistle blew, the draw almost felt like a win because of the resilience shown during that comeback. In games of that magnitude, mentality often matters just as much as tactics, and the squad showed a level of determination that the fans expect to see whenever those rivalries ignite. Then came another crucial challenge in Aberdeen. Traveling north has never been easy for Celtic, especially when the stakes are high and the team is already dealing with the physical demands of consecutive fixtures. Yet the squad managed to secure 3 vital points there, another result that helped steady the mood around the club. Victories in difficult away grounds often shape the direction of a season, and the win at Pittodrie added another layer of confidence during this demanding period. Now attention turns once again to Ibrox, this time in the context of the Scottish Cup. Matches in that competition always bring a different edge because everything can be decided in a single night. One moment of brilliance or one mistake can shift the entire narrative. Supporters understand exactly how significant these clashes are, not just for progression in the tournament, but also for the emotional momentum they create around the club. While the focus remains on upcoming matches, another conversation has quietly started gaining momentum among supporters and within the club itself. The summer transfer window might still feel some distance away, but planning for it is already underway. In fact, it could become one of the most important transfer periods Celtic has faced in recent years. There is growing recognition that significant changes may be required across the first-team squad. Reports circulating around the club suggest that the upcoming window could involve a substantial overhaul. A number of players currently within the squad might not be part of the long-term picture moving forward. Some of those situations are linked to loan deals that are approaching their end, while others relate to players whose futures remain uncertain. When you begin to look closely at the squad list, it becomes clear just how many decisions could be approaching in the coming months. Loan arrangements alone account for several potential departures. Players who arrive to strengthen the squad temporarily may soon return to their parent clubs once their agreements expire. In other cases, experienced figures within the squad could also be approaching the final stages of their time at Celtic. Some contracts are nearing their conclusion, and the club will need to decide whether extending those deals fits within the wider plan for the team. For supporters analyzing the squad, it is not difficult to imagine a scenario where a significant number of players move on. When you begin listing possible exits, the total quickly grows larger than many might initially expect. That reality highlights the scale of the task facing the recruitment department in the months ahead. Rebuilding even a few positions can be challenging, but restructuring large portions of a squad requires careful planning, patience, and smart decision-making. The prospect of such a rebuild naturally creates mixed emotions among the fan base. On one hand, change can bring the opportunity for renewal, fresh energy, and a new tactical direction. On the other hand, the scale of the work required can feel daunting, particularly given the complexities involved in modern transfer negotiations. Supporters know that bringing in the right players is not simply about identifying talent. It also involves timing, financial considerations, and the ability to finalize deals in a competitive market. Within the club's internal structure, preparations for this potential transformation have already begun. Recruitment staff are analyzing possible targets and assessing where improvements can be made. Identifying players who can strengthen the squad while also fitting the style of play Celtic wants to maintain is a process that takes months of observation and evaluation. By the time the transfer window actually opens, much of that groundwork must already be in place. Two names have recently emerged in discussions about potential additions. Both players are currently performing within the Scottish Premiership, and both have shown qualities that could make them interesting options for Celtic moving forward. Looking closer at players already adapted to the league can sometimes provide a more reliable pathway than taking risks on unfamiliar talent from abroad. One of those players attracting attention is a winger currently playing for Motherwell. At 25 years of age, he is entering a stage of his career where consistency and experience begin to combine. What makes him particularly intriguing is his versatility across the attacking positions. Although naturally comfortable on the wing, he has also demonstrated the ability to operate centrally when required, offering flexibility within the attacking structure. Statistics alone never tell the full story, but his recent contributions have certainly drawn interest. With 6 goals and 6 assists this season, he has proven capable of influencing matches in multiple ways. Whether creating chances for teammates or finishing opportunities himself, that balance between scoring and assisting can be extremely valuable for a side looking to add more attacking variety. Another factor working in his favor is familiarity with the demands of Scottish football. Adjusting to the pace, physicality, and unpredictable nature of the league can take time for new arrivals. A player who has already adapted to those conditions removes part of that uncertainty. For Celtic, who may be planning a broader squad transition, adding individuals already comfortable within the league environment could help maintain stability during a period of change. At the same time, Celtic's recruitment team will be evaluating whether players like this possess the quality to step up to the expectations that come with wearing the club's colors. Performing well at a smaller club is one challenge, but delivering under the spotlight at Celtic Park is another entirely. The pressure from supporters, the demand to compete in multiple competitions, and the expectation to dominate matches week after week all create a unique environment. These are exactly the types of questions that will shape the coming months as the club begins outlining its transfer strategy. The decisions made during the summer will likely influence not only the next season, but possibly several seasons beyond that. Supporters watching from the stands and from their homes understand that the groundwork being laid now could define the next chapter in Celtic's ongoing story. Alongside that potential addition on the wing, another player who has drawn attention is a young central midfielder currently making an impression with Hibernian. At just 21 years of age, he has already started to show the kind of maturity that tends to catch the eye of bigger clubs. Supporters who watched the recent match at Celtic Park will likely remember his performance, because he stood out as one of the most influential figures on the pitch that day. His composure in possession, combined with his willingness to break up attacks and move the ball forward quickly, gave his side a real presence in the center of the park. It was the sort of display that forces people to take notice. When a midfielder can control the rhythm of a game in a stadium like Celtic Park, even for a single afternoon, it tells you there is genuine potential there. Of course, one performance alone never defines a player, but it can certainly strengthen the case for closer scouting. Celtic's recruitment team have reportedly been keeping an eye on him for some time, especially after initial interest emerged earlier in the season. His journey to the Scottish Premiership has been interesting as well. Before arriving in Edinburgh, he was developing his game with young boys, gaining experience in a competitive European environment. In fact, he has already stepped onto the pitch at Celtic Park in European competition, which means the surroundings will not feel unfamiliar if he ever returns wearing green and white. That sort of experience at a young age often accelerates a player's development because it exposes them to higher levels of intensity and tactical awareness. Another element that makes him intriguing is his international background. Representing Zambia adds a different dimension to his profile, showing that he has already been trusted to perform on the international stage. For a player in his early 20s, those experiences can be extremely valuable when adapting to the expectations that come with a club like Celtic. International football requires discipline, adaptability, and the ability to handle pressure in unfamiliar environments. If Celtic were to move forward with interest in a player like him, it would likely require a significant financial commitment. The days when clubs could easily sign standout players from within the Scottish Premiership for relatively small sums are largely behind us. Teams have become far more aware of the market value of their players, particularly when larger clubs begin circling. That means negotiations can quickly become complex. Hibernian would certainly understand the value of a promising midfielder who is still improving and attracting outside attention. Selling a key player is never a decision taken lightly, and if they were to consider it, the transfer fee would likely reflect both his current importance to the team and his potential for further growth. In modern football, investing several £1 million in a player who has already proven himself within the league is not unusual. Motherwell would likely take a similar approach if discussions ever progressed regarding their winger. Clubs across Scotland have become increasingly strategic about protecting the value of their assets. Strong performances, consistent contributions, and the promise of future development all influence how a player is valued in negotiations. For Celtic, this means that any attempt to strengthen the squad domestically will require careful financial planning. When supporters begin adding up the possible arrivals and departures, it becomes clear just how expensive a major rebuild could become. Replacing numerous squad members while maintaining competitive strength is not something that can be achieved cheaply. Even if several players leave on loan expirations or contract endings, the responsibility of bringing in new talent remains. Every position that opens up must eventually be filled with someone capable of meeting the club's ambitions. This is why the recruitment department faces such an important task over the coming months. Identifying players who offer the right balance between quality, reliability, and long-term potential will determine how successful the transition becomes. Bringing in too many inexperienced players could create instability, while relying solely on established names might limit future growth. Finding that balance is one of the biggest challenges any club faces during a period of restructuring. Another aspect that has sparked conversation among supporters involves experienced players who could potentially become available under different circumstances. Occasionally, opportunities appear in the transfer market that do not involve paying large fees. Free agents or players approaching the end of their contracts can sometimes provide valuable additions, particularly if they bring leadership and high-level experience. One such possibility has been mentioned during recent discussions around the club, largely because of personal connections between players. When footballers speak openly about friendships and previous relationships within the game, it naturally sparks speculation among supporters. The idea of a well-known international player potentially considering a move to Celtic has certainly captured imaginations, even if it remains purely hypothetical at this stage. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. A fresh storm of speculation is swirling around Celtic Park after a dramatic remark from manager Martin O'Neill, who is said to have drawn a firm line regarding one of his players. According to whispers emerging from inside the club's corridors, the Celtic boss has privately made it clear the player in question will not feature under his command again. The phrase attributed to O'Neill, blunt and uncompromising, has quickly ignited debate among supporters and pundits alike. "He doesn't play for me anymore," the manager reportedly told those close to the situation, a statement that has raised serious questions about what may have unfolded behind the scenes. While the club has remained silent on the matter, the tone of the alleged remark suggests a breakdown that goes beyond routine selection decisions. Those familiar with dressing room dynamics insist that such language from O'Neill is rare, especially from a coach known for his strong man management and loyalty to his squad. Inside Celtic FC, the atmosphere is said to be tense but controlled. Staff members are believed to be working quietly to contain the situation, though the story has already begun circulating through supporter circles and Scottish football media. Some observers speculate the issue could stem from a disciplinary matter or a disagreement over training standards. Others suggest the situation might involve frustrations about attitude or commitment, elements O'Neill has historically valued as highly as technical ability. What makes the episode particularly intriguing is the timing. With the season entering a crucial phase, Celtic can hardly afford distractions in the dressing room. Yet situations like this often become defining moments in a campaign, revealing both the authority of the manager and the unity of the squad. For now, the identity of the player involved remains the subject of quiet guesswork among fans. The club has not issued an official explanation, and O'Neill himself has not expanded publicly on the remark that sparked the speculation. Whether the situation leads to a reconciliation, a departure, or simply a prolonged spell away from the team remains uncertain. But one thing is clear. The rumor has added a new layer of intrigue around Celtic, and supporters will be watching closely to see how the story unfolds. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.